Good morning, and welcome to the ECSA Professional Registration exclusive webinar, How to Address Outcome as a Construction Personnel. So we conducted this webinar on the 21st of May at 7 o'clock in the evening. Unfortunately, the recordings were misplaced somehow, but I decided to pre-record this so that I can able to share with you what we covered. So I've taken some of the stuff out. I only left stuff that are more important for what we are doing in this webinar. So I'm going to take you through of what we've covered this webinar, specifically for the construction people that are working from construction environment. So as you can see here, I'm going to share how to understand the ECSA 11 in a construction context, learn how to document competency effectively, and then that probably will accelerate your journey with confidence. So I'm going to go through this webinar again. Like I said, it's a pre-recording of what we did. Unfortunately, I lost the recording somehow, but I'm going to share this quickly so that I can give you a perspective of what you can expect. All right. So what I'm going to cover here, I'm going to cover the problems in from the point of view of how ready are you in registering with ECSA. Okay, so I want to talk about that, and I'm going to talk about the process that we apply. I'm going to share some insights. I'm going to share some methods that we apply in the frameworks that we've created, and then also the solutions of how actually you can prepare yourself to register with ECSA. And then obviously the goal is to get to the price, which is ECSA registration. All right. So here's a promise. If you stay until to the end of this webinar, I am going to give away a surprise special. So normally when I do the webinars, I, give the attendees a surprise special for just, registering and attending the webinar. All right. So those who know me or those who don't know me, okay, who am I and what I do? I'm Godfrey Mongwe. I'm a registered professional technologist with ECSA and also a qualified business coach. All right. I'm the creator of a trademarked candidate fast track coaching system. I help career stagnant candidates to accelerate their professional registration, increase their earnings potential, and attract the right employment opportunities. Most construction professionals are doing reasonable engineering work, but they struggle to explain their work experience in a way that demonstrate engineering competency and outcomes aligned to ECSA standard. So the results is delayed registration, repeated rejection, stagnant careers, excuse me, lost earning potentials, and missed employment opportunities, even though candidate may be fully well experienced. I help candidates precisely to turn their construction work experience into clear ECSA competency by teaching them how to document and present the experience against the 11 outcome with clarity. I've worked with over 12,000 candidates across the engineering disciplines in South Africa for the last 10 years who were struggling, previously unsuccessful, and helped them gain clarity, confidence, and prepare professional ECSA reports toward registration based on how the council evaluates construction competency. All right. If you are a candidate who wants to stop guessing and start preparing your ECSA reports with confidence, the next step is to engage in a structured coaching process designed specifically for this purpose. So that's what I do on a daily basis. This is my commitment to help all the candidates to fast track their ECSA registration. So what we do, we provide a structured and a practical approach to ECSA registration to demonstrate competency on all the 11 outcomes. Okay, so that's our focus, to help people, because we have realized that most of the people, they battle when it comes to the 11 outcome. Here's a big promise. In this webinar, I'm going to show you how to demonstrate competency with evidence on all the 11 outcome as a construction professional through a structured framework without guesswork. All right. So now I am guessing for a lot of you, this is probably not your first ECSA webinar you attend. You have probably attended quite a few of webinars. So this is not the first one. And if you have failed at structuring outcomes from construction point of view in the past, or submitted reports that lacked clarity, today I will show you the system. If you have been concerned in the past that your design work isn't good enough, you have enough construction work exposure, you just can't structure your experience properly to demonstrate evidence. I want to put those fears to rest. You can do this. You just need a right framework, which I'm going to share with you on those outcomes. And that is what we are here for. So let's look at some of the problems. Most candidates don't struggle with outcome because they lack experience. Okay, they struggle because they don't understand how to turn their construction work experience into evidence to demonstrate competency on the outcomes. So this is very important, those two words, evidence and competency, and you will see in the coming slides what do I mean. So let's look at the challenges or obstacles. What challenges or obstacles preventing you to demonstrate competency in outcomes? Okay, one is lack of site work experience. Most of the people, they in the construction field, but actually they don't spend time on site, because when you are based on site, that's where you're going to learn a lot of the stuff that I'm going to talk about. Some of you, this might not make sense because you have never been on site, or you have never spent at least a minimum of 6 months on site to understand some of the concept that I'm going to be sharing with you in order to make sure that you are aligning your experience with ECSA outcomes. Two, it's poor presentation of evidence on the outcomes, especially on the engineering report. Like I say, I've worked with over 12,000 candidates for the last 10 years. And I've seen this as a continuous occurrence of how poorly the engineering report is presented by candidates that are wanting to register with ECSA. Three, they don't have a structured system or some kind of a framework to guide you to address the outcome, which is what I'm going to share with you for this webinar. Lack of clarity on ECSA 11 outcomes from the construction point of view. Okay, so I've done some surveys. So I've sorry, asked people some few questions just to determine and sense where they are in terms of being ready to register with ECSA. So the first question is, how well does your work experience align with ECSA? As you can see here on the graph, 43% of people, they can align some task, but not confidently. So they need coaching or discussion around this. And then 30% of people say, I am not sure how my work experience align with ECSA 11 outcome. And then 27%, I can clearly align my work experience. So as you can see, a lot of people, they are not confident, but they have a bit of understanding of how they can align their experience. The next one is, how confident are you in writing your TERs and your TEOs and engineering report? You can see here, 44% of people say they're struggling and they keep postponing. Okay, so they need guidance. Also, 44% of people, they have started the ECSA process but feel unsure, which is commonly what I observe when I get inquiries. They also need guidance. I write clearly using a structured system. Very few people, and these are the people probably that have access to ECSA registered referees, either in their companies or in their network. So number 5, what obstacles or challenges are preventing you from achieving your goal? You can see here a lot of people, 55%, I have engineering work experience, but I'm not sure where and how to start the ECSA registering process. I will need guidance. Then 39% of people have enough engineering experience, but less or no design work experience, which is what this webinar is all about, to address that from the construction point of view, because most of you don't do design work. Okay, and then about 6%, I am not working in the engineering field. This is very few people. Okay, then next question is, what level of mentorship or coaching do you currently have? You can see here 42% of people, I don't have ECSA registered mentors. I am figuring it out alone. So you can see that a lot of people, they don't have resources, they don't have access to that. That's why we are offering this coaching program to help people to close that gap. And 36%, I get informal advice when I ask and I need guidance. So these are the people that, as when they do their, excuse me, when they do their extra application for, they have friends or they have clients or they have people that they can go and ask and check. And normally, when I deal with this kind of people, you see a lot of people getting discouraged because sometimes they've sent a report out to be checked by a colleague or a client and it takes a long to get the feedback. So 21%, they say, I have more than one extra resource mentor or coach and I get feedback. So very few people that have access to these resources of registered people. So the last question is, how important is achieving your ECSA professional registration to your current career and future opportunities? You can see a lot of people, 76% say this is very critical. In other words, if I don't register, I stand a chance of missing a lot of opportunities. So it's very critical for my career development, my credibility, and my earning potential, depending on the ECSA registration. And 21%, it is important. I know extra registration matters, but I haven't prioritized it consistently yet. So some of the people, they really don't prioritize this. Okay. Then 11, very few percentage of people, they are unclear and still unsure how extra registration will practically impact their careers. All right, so these are just the results of that, the survey, the summary. So most of the candidates doing the reports, they jump straight to one solution without showing the alternatives. So this is where a person addressing outcome one and then not actually addressing everything, because outcome one, and you'll see, talks about define the problem, investigate and analyze the problem. And people just not follow that thought process. Presenting design calculation only without context and reasoning. So these are the gaps and the shortfalls that I've identified as I coach people. Okay. Failing to reference relevant codes and standards in the application, not documenting peer reviews or validation steps. Okay, who checked your work? Was the work accepted by the client and so forth? Okay, describing team's outcome instead of your own contribution. And that becomes a big one, because a lot of the reports, they do this mistake. Okay, they don't show their own contribution on a particular activity that they are doing. So here are the insights quickly. What prevents 90% candidates to get extra professional registration? So this is an example of a letter that you will normally receive when you submit your application form. And if you didn't go through or succeed, you'll get this kind of letter. So this is a letter of one of the candidates who wanted to register as a professional engineering technologist. And the letter was then received on the 21st of January this year. So the candidate couldn't successfully get registered, and these are the reasons. Exercise for your application. The council is of a view that you have not indicated competency. Remember in my previous slide, I've mentioned this. Competency is very important. And they're outlining out all the outcome. The candidate didn't indicate competency, which is outcome one, where you have to define, investigate, and analyze a broadly defined engineering problem. Okay. Two is to design and develop. Now, this webinar is specifically for the construction people, and most of you don't do design. But remember, it's not only about design. Exercise, your solution could be a design solution, or where you develop a solution using just basic principles of engineering, okay, without actually designing stuff. And you'll see when I share some examples. So these are all the outcomes the candidate couldn't explain or demonstrate or indicate competency. And furthermore, the these are the following additional moderator assessor comments. So during the assessment of the candidate application form, this is what the assessor is saying. In group A, which is outcome 1, 2, and 3, the applicant failed to demonstrate how investigation and analysis was done. Remember, I've explained that most of you only focus on defining the problem, but you don't actually go through the whole process of explaining how your investigation and analysis was done. And it says the application for engineering principles, tools not demonstrated during professional review. So during the interview, when the candidate has been asked a question, he couldn't explain what principles he or she has applied, okay, and what tools he has used. And then they said the applicant presented the solution that she failed to demonstrate how they were selected. So, and this is the problem where you write something, but during the interview, you are not able to explain what is it that you have put. And this is because of the reason that most of you get copies of your friend's application form, and you copy what your friends have written there, and this is a result of that. Okay, you're writing a solution that you are not able to explain how this solution was selected. So my advice is, don't take your friend's application form and use them for your application form. If you do have, just look at the course structure, just use it as a guide, but don't just copy what your friend has written and use that as your work, because the interview, they will determine, they will pick up if you have done the work or you've actually copied the work. Okay, so this is as a result of that. I'm not meaning that this candidate copied, but it seems, okay, it comes out like that, because if you fail to explain the solution and how you selected that solution, if that is your work, it creates a bit of problem. Anyway, so they said the applicant failed to demonstrate how the specification and design documents were developed. Okay, so that's important. You need to show ECSA what are the specifications that you're complying with and how they were developed. And they also say application of BTEC theory also not demonstrated. Okay, so here you want to register as a technologist. The knowledge, the theory that you have learned from your qualification of BTEC, how does you use it in solving the problem? And that didn't come out during the interview. Group C, this is outcome. So group A is outcome 1, 2, and 3. Group B is 4 and 5. Group C is 6 and 7. So impact of engineering activities. The applicant failed to demonstrate effect on engineering activities. Okay, identified in terms of social, culture, and environment. So in other words, the applicant couldn't explain what are the impact of his or her engineering work on the culture, on the social, or in the environment where the project is taking place. And this is very, very important that you will see when we do the examples. Group D, exercise judgment and take responsibility. Applicant failed to demonstrate sound judgment exercise applying engineering principle at the broadly defined. Okay, there is no indication that the applicant was responsible for making decision. And these are the challenges that most of you will experience if really you are doing this report on your own without somebody like me who's been doing this for 10 years, who have got the capacity, the knowledge, and has assisted quite a number of ECSA candidates on the registration process. So you need a person like myself who will coach you so that you are able to write your application form to demonstrate competency and with evidence, okay, because these are the things that are lacking. All right, so let's look at the inside quickly so you can see here. This is category A, outcome 1, 2, and 3 under engineering problem solving. Category B, managing engineering activities, is outcome 4 and 5. Category C, impact engineering activities, outcome 6 and 7. And category D, which is outcome 8, 9, and 10. And then category E is outcome 11. So as you see, I've just taken some discipline and do some numbers here. You see that 70 from the civil discipline, 77% of the candidate from excuse me, civil engineering discipline are struggling with outcome number 1, as compared to electrical and mechanical. The numbers are very, very low. Okay, when you do the average of that, you look like 88% of people are struggling to deal with outcome 1. Okay, so you can see 83% are struggling with outcome 2, and then the average is 95%, and so on. So you see all this outcome blocked in red, very, very critical outcome. Okay, and I'm not saying the rest are not, but these ones, they determine actually your registration. If you are not able to do these outcomes, you will not get registered. So this graph or this table is very important to show you where the struggle is. And the interesting part is 90% of people that are in my coaching program, it's all coming from civil engineering discipline, because the numbers can tell the story. Okay, so I'm saying no clear outcome, no registration. You have seen the previous slide where I'm explaining the comment from the assessor on a candidate who couldn't get registered because of the things that they've picked up on his or her report. Okay, my goal and desire here is to, for this presentation is to help two types of people. One, for those just starting your ECSA journey, you've got the experience, you've got the qualification, now you are ready to do your report. That is what I want to address. You are going to get clarity. You will understand what ECSA expects in all the outcome, what your report must contain, and secondly, for those who already have the experience. Okay, some of you've probably done these reports, you didn't come all right, you've tried it again. So I'm here to help you. Maybe you have written a report and not sure if the outcomes are addressed properly. And I get this a lot, and people phone and say, look, I've done the report, I just need someone to check it and then make sure that I'm covering the outcome properly. Okay, maybe you have applied before and got rejected because of the competencies not demonstrated on the outcomes. Okay, that's what I'm here for. Maybe you have been stuck and you have no clue on how to address the outcome from the construction perspective, and that's what I'm going to show you. So you're going to get a better way and more strategic way to turn what you've already done into clear, credible evidence so you can move forward with confidence and speed. All right. So in the past few years, I've worked closely with candidates, engineers, technologists, and technicians across the discipline, help them turn their work experience into ECSA-ready evidence. Okay, but it wasn't that that way. I was once exactly where many of you are. Okay, I struggled. It took me about between 5 and 6 months for me to get my report done correctly and submitted. And then the good thing is that during those time around 2007, interview wasn't compulsory, but if your report didn't make sense, you will probably get asked to attend the interview. My report was so well written, and that resulted in me not attending or in getting invited to the interview, and I was registered straightly from the beginning. Okay, so try to understand what ECSA really wants in all the outcome, how to justify my engineering construction solution, how to show alternative solution of my engineering construction solution, and how to structure my construction work experience to demonstrate the 11 outcomes. If you listen to me from the beginning of the webinar, maybe after the first 3 slides where I've completed the introduction, I keep stressing the importance of competency and evidence on your 11 outcome, because that's the core of your registration. Okay, and I realized the problem wasn't my construction work experience. Okay, the problem is how I presented the construction experience in my report, and this has been a challenge of many of you. Okay, so I developed a framework where I analyze ECSA expectation carefully. Okay, for the last 10 years, I've studied what assessors look. I was once one of the ECSA assessors, so I understand the concept. I understand what they're looking for, and for the last 10 years, I've been looking at these things. Now, when people submit the reports and they get the letters that I've just shown you as an example why the candidate was rejected, because he hasn't actually demonstrated the competencies properly. What evidence is missing in application forms? Why candidate application form submission fails, which I've shown you the example previously. All right. So the comprehensive framework for the construction project to demonstrate competency and evidence on the outcome. So I'm going to show you now. This is outcome 1 from the perspective of a construction. So EPCM stands for Engineering, Procurement, Construction, and Management. So from the construction point of view, if you cover outcome 1, okay, this appears when a candidate deals, okay, with design changes. That could be a problem definition that you can look at it, or there's incorrect drawings, unexpected site condition, procurement technical non-compliance, construction defects, equipment installation issues, request for information, and field engineering queries. These are the things that you can actually use as your problem statement. Obviously, you need to go in a bit of details. So I'm just giving you, the high level. So when you deal with outcome 1, these are the things that you can start looking at, okay, as problems that you can start discussing from the construction point of view. I want to highlight this one, the procurement technical non-compliance. So I used to work for Group 5. one of my functions. So I left group 5, and then 8 years later I went back to group 5. When I went for to join group 5 for the second time, I was appointed as a procurement technical engineer. And my function, my responsibility was to help the procurement department in all technical matters. So if there's a tender going out, I had to make sure that the drawings are correct, the specification is correct, and when they place orders to a particular supplier, it my responsibility to make sure that everything document wise is done properly from the procurement point of view. So I wasn't doing the tender say, but from technical point of view, I was like an advisor to the procurement department. Also going out to the to sites and visiting these suppliers to go and check whether equipment that has been purchased or still fabrication that is taking place. So I'll have a set of drawings, I'll have my specification, I'll have my standard and codes, just to go and check if the work is done properly before it can send to site. So that's very important. So when you deal with outcome one from the construction point of view, these are the things that you can discuss as part of your outcome one. Okay, so these are the common gaps. People say the candidates write, I attended site and reported the problem. So the statement is not clear, it's just an ambiguous statement. But the candidate fails to show the investigation, the analysis, and the engineering reasoning behind that. Okay, so outcome two, develop or design. Okay, this appears when the candidate develops a design alternatives. Okay, so the design has been done, but there's issues probably on site. Maybe the stuff is not fitting. So you need to take the design and develop alternative so that you can bring the solution to that design. You do temporary work solution. This is common in construction. When we want to solve certain areas, so we develop a temporary work solution. Revised construction method, that's part of the solution. Okay. Vendor technical solution. Like I said, one of the job that I was doing was make sure that everything that has been received from the vendor, it's technically sound. Okay. Constructability improvement. Sometimes we put a method statement to say this is what we're going to do when you construct this thing as part of the solution, and it's not working, we then improve the constructability and method statement on how we are going to actually make sure that the solution is done properly. Field design changes. You haven't designed nothing. Stuff has been designed, is on site, and it's not fitting. So we redline the drawing, we make changes, and we said, okay, this is how it needs to be done based on the site conditions. Okay, so that's very critical as part of outcome two. So what I'm showing you is just the ingredients that you can take and use them as point of a discussion. You may not use everything, but these are the things that you need to think about when you develop engineering solutions for your problems. Okay, the common gap, only one solution is presented without showing rejected alternatives or why the final option was selected. So it's very important when you show your solution, not only show one solution, give a client a bit of options. So ECSA wants to see if you have considered different options. All right, so that's very important. Okay, outcome number three, this appears when the candidate applies engineering theory. Okay, you remember on that slide where the candidate couldn't explain how did he apply his BTech theory in coming up with a solution. So this is outcome number three. That's important. You need to be able to do that. Okay, show how did you apply or complied with code and standard. I see a lot of people just quote and standard without actually giving the reasoning behind them. Okay, why did you apply or comply with this code? Okay, calculation, obviously, if your solution is based on design. Okay, material behavior, this is very important. Understand that if you do a project, a construction project in Johannesburg, the weather is different when you do it like in Cape Town. So the material will behave differently because of the weather condition and so on. Equipment limits, understand that, equipment have got limits. So you've got to understand that, able to apply that knowledge. Okay. Design processes, procedures, understand them. Commissioning principle. A lot of projects that we do commissioning. Okay. And the reason we do commissioning is to test and to make sure before we can hand over a particular project or a particular equipment or plant to the client, everything is working. So we commission, we check, we assess, we analyze, we do changes. We make sure that this thing that we are doing is going to work properly and deliver the results. So the common gap, the candidate mentions software or standard, but does not explain the engineering principle behind that. And this is a big problem. Most of you are using softwares either to do designs, or to do something in a project. So it's important that don't only just mention the software, okay, on outcome 3, okay? Give the reasoning behind the software, okay? So it's very important that you understand that. So my advice is also use the software. Once you get the particular results, use engineering principles and see if the results that you got by using the software and the results that you've got based on the principles of engineering, what is the difference in between. All right, so that helps you to see more or less that you've got the understanding. So here's my question: are you able to relate your own experience to what I have shown you on the previous slides, on the first 3 outcome? All right, so it's important that you understand and you see where the gaps are. Okay. All right, I'm going to share quickly one of the candidate that we help, Andre Stein. He was a part of the program and he got registered on the 4th of February this year. So this is a testimony that Andre is saying. So he has said, I approached Godfrey. I've received negative comments on my registration application as I was placed under abeyance, not knowing where to go from there as I had no idea what was wrong with my report. So Andre did the report and then he submitted, so he couldn't get it right. So he was given a second chance to resubmit. So that's why he came to our program. Okay. It says here, ECSA process was explained clearly, structured in a way that made sense. So like the framework that I've shown you on outcome 1, 2, 3. Okay, it's a framework that I use when I coach people to show them exactly what are the point of discussion in order to meet the outcomes properly. So we help Andrew to Andre to go through that. So I'm not going to read everything. All these testimonies are on my LinkedIn profile. You can read them. Okay, but it's very important that you see what Andre says. I have received consistent guidance on report structure, technical writing, interview preparation, which helped me to understand exactly what ECSA expects. With this support, I was able to complete my report and achieve my professional registration easily within a abeyance period. Okay, so we assisted him to do that. All right. So let's look now at outcome 4, managing engineering activities. Okay, this appears when a candidate manages design packages. Remember, in construction, when you do these packages, so there's a civil engineering package, mechanical, electrical, and other packages. So you might find that your responsibility is just on design. So you're managing that. So when you're managing engineering activities, you've got to look at these things. Procurement packages. Okay, how do we procurement stuff from suppliers? Contractors work fronts. Okay, how do we manage contractors? How do we work with them? Okay, quality inspection. We want to make sure that the work that has been produced or done on site, it's meeting some quality work. So we do inspection. So that's part of engineering, managing engineering activities. Contracting schedule. So we need to know how long this activity is going to take to be completed. If it's not completed on time, what is it that is going to affect other activities? How much is going to cost us? And so on. So we are able to plan. So schedules and using software like your Microsoft project planner or Primavera or any other engineering scheduling software. That is the tool that we use to managing engineering activities. Subcontractors coordination. How do you coordinate with other subcontractors? If it's a EPCM project where there's a civil subcontractor, mechanical and electrical, obviously the civil is the first subcontractor that needs to do the work. So if they don't finish their activities within the planned duration, is going to affect the mechanical subcontractor who needs to come in now to begin to install some of this equipment. Okay, and if the mechanical doesn't finish, it's going to affect the electrical subcontractor who needs to run cables and all sorts of things to make sure that the work is finished within the prescribed plan. So it's very, very important. And also site execution. Okay, what is it that has been done on site? And completion, handing over, signing off of handover certificates, and so on and so on. So that's how you manage engineering activities, by looking at these activities. Okay. The common gap: candidate describes supervision but not showing planning, prioritizing, or controlling or measurable outcomes. So it's very important to be clear and to be specific when you address this outcome, because remember, I keep mentioning, you must show competency, you must show evidence. of what you are actually doing. Okay. Outcome number 5. So outcome 4 and outcome number 5, these are the one of the easy outcomes that I see a lot of people can able to address on the X application form. Okay, so outcome number 5 is all about communication. Okay, this appears when the candidate communicates technical instruction. How do you give and receive instruction? It's part of communication. Site risk, you identify them, you plan for them, and you put a medication. So this is all part of communication. Design changes. If there's a design changes, you redline the drawing, you do the changes, you get it signed approved by the client before you can actually implement the solution. Procurement clarification. Okay, if there's a delay in, let's say you've ordered a particular equipment, it's supposed to arrive by this particular date. And if there's a delay, it doesn't arrive, you need to communicate that. So that's important. Contract performance issues. If the contractor said, I'm going to do this by this time, finish by this time, at this quality, those are kind of stuff that you need to discuss in your communication. Client updates. Okay, we update the clients and then we sit in the meeting, we give the clients update. This is what we started, this is how far we're going to complete this, these are the issues we're experiencing. We need approval here, we need a drawing, and so on and so on. Okay, interface requirements. Like I say, if it's a project where we are working with civil, mechanical, electrical, we need to have that meetings where we discuss how are we going to interface with each other. So this all form part of communication. So you might not use everything, but you must be able to articulate. So these are all the ingredients that you can begin to look at it when you do outcome number 5. Okay, the common gap, the candidate says I communicated with the team but provides no communication records. Okay, those are evidence I'm talking about, your records. There's meetings, there's memorandum, there's reports, there's drawings, there's presentations, and so on and so on. Those form part of your communication records. All right, outcome number 6, social, culture, and environment. Remember the slides that I've shown you of the candidate that couldn't go through, because one of the outcome was this one, where ECSA says you didn't demonstrate how the work that you do impact social, culture, environment, and this appears when the candidates considers dust. Some of you work in construction, there's a dust. So how do you mitigate that? Okay, how does that affect the culture? How does that affect the environment? It might cause people to cough, it might cause it. So you've got to able to articulate all these things to show the noise. We are grinding, we are cutting, we're doing all sorts of activities on the construction site. It's a very noisy place. So this noise can disrupt other people. It can affect the ears. Okay, traffic disruption. There's a road construction that is happening on the main busy road. Okay, we need to understand the impact of that to the environment, to the people that are using that road. Okay, environmental protection. Obviously, we received the environmental plan, the EPM, it's called environmental management plan, from the environmental engineer, that has been outlined so that we can see what are the things that we can do and things that we cannot do. So we use that to protect the environment. Heritage issues, some of these sites that are working or places, there's heritage issues, there's trees that we cannot cut, there's water that you cannot pollute, and so on and so on. Waste management is part of that, and working in live facilities. Some of these projects where we're working, we cannot go and switch off the facility electrical system. We need to work in that environment. How do you then make sure that the work that you do, it doesn't impact other people negatively? Okay, so the common gap candidate mentioned environmental impact generally, but does not show mitigation or monitoring or stakeholder management. Okay, so it's important, especially when it comes to risk management. All right, here's my next question. What is the most valuable insight you gained from this session? So I've covered outcome 1 to outcome 6. Okay, what is it that we have gained? Do you see the common pattern in what you do and what I've already explained? Okay, so it's very, very important that you understand, these outcomes from the construction point of view. So case study again. So this is Akshay. He came to my program also in 2025. So, and this is the testimony. I found it challenging to articulate experience in a manner aligned to ECSA's reporting expectation. Okay, this program provided clear direction on how to structure my reports to best demonstrate my competency against ECSA 11 outcome. The framework and the feedback offered practical pathway to present my experience in a professional and concise format that reflects ECSA standard. Okay, so this is very, very important. When we show and coach people using these frameworks, we make sure that we create clarity so people to understand, so that they can able to take their experience and align that with those outcomes. All right. So he says, I will definitely recommend the coaching program to other candidates. Okay. The support and the structure provided by the program offer a significant advantage to anyone navigating the modern ECSA registration pathway. All right. So you can read a lot of these testimonies on my LinkedIn profile. So I'm just giving you this as that. The beauty that Akshay came to the program while he was working for this company. And then after registration, and then he got a new job as a professional senior mechanical engineer. He worked for this company. Okay. So say ECSA registration opens up employment opportunities. Okay. So, and this is very possible. Okay. Let's look at outcome number 7, legal and health and safety compliance. This appears when the candidate applies OSH Act. Okay. Again, this is very, very important and very critical. Don't just mention the OSH Act. Show ECSA how did you comply with OSH Act. Okay, OSH Act is big. It's got certain section. Okay, construction regulation, the same thing. I see people just quote, I've complied with OSH Act, but they don't explain how the compliance was demonstrated. Okay, SANS and standard. Okay, it's important. If you're working in a particular project, make sure that you understand the SANS and the standard applicable to that particular work that you're doing. Don't just quote and put SANS and standard that you don't understand how do they apply or comply to that. Okay, client health and safety requirements, you know, to understand those. Permit works. Okay, in some of the environment, like one of the example, we're working in a facility where the system is live. Okay, so we need to get permits to do certain work. We can't just go in that area and work. That's part of compliance. Okay, traffic accommodation requirements. We are transporting an equipment from one place another. We need to make sure that we understand the height of the bridge. We understand where are we going to turn, and we need all these people to, and I'm sure you have seen that where a big machine or something has been transported, there's traffic cars in front and at the back, just to control and make sure. Those are part of safety requirements. Okay, quality and safety inspection. We do the work, we need to make sure that we comply with issues of safety in terms of whatever activities we are doing is actually something of quality. So that's outcome number 7. Remember, these are all from the perspective of the construction. Okay, the candidate lists laws but doesn't explain how they personally apply to them. So don't do that. Don't just list this compliance and safety matters without actually indicating or demonstrating how do they apply personally in a particular work that you are doing. All right. Outcome 8, conduct engineering activity ethically. This appears when the candidate refuses unsafe work. That's being ethical. So there's a work you can say it's not safe to do this work. Okay, so that's part of being ethical. Reject the poor quality material. You've ordered material through procurement system and they deliver material that is not of good quality. You look at the specification, you compare, you see this is not actually meeting the specification. You reject that. That's part of being ethical. Okay, declare conflict of interest. Some you work with clients where they give you presents, you've done the work well, they give you a ticket to go on holiday. Declare those things because those are ethical issues. Treating bribe fairly is part of that. Reporting on non-compliance, that's part of ethical. Avoid approving work outside your competency. That's very, very critical. Okay, you're doing the work and you see that you don't have the experience and the knowledge to understand if this work is actually complying with a particular standard. It's outside of your competency. Get someone who's got the experience in that particular area to approve. Don't just go and sign stuff that you don't have competency to do so. Okay, protect public safely, which is one of the biggest excess and code of conduct. Okay, so these are all issues of ethics. All right, and also one of the other things is cheap material. Okay, it's very, very important that you understand that when you deliver a project or you're doing the work, you do something that is of quality for the client. Okay, common gaps. Candidate says, I follow ECSA code of conduct, but gives no real ethical example. So don't just quote the code of conduct of ECSA. Show how do you comply. Show the examples, okay? And these are some of the examples that you can discuss in your report on. Obviously, if you are doing these things, okay, don't just write them if you're not doing them, okay? We are almost getting there. So outcome number 9, sound judgment, exercise sound judgment. This appears when the candidate make decision involving incomplete information. Some of this project we are working, I did a project where there were no drawings. It was an old plant where we needed to refurb the plant. So the drawings were very old. So we need to go to site, take the old drawings and begin to trace everything. And it was a long project because we had to trace, go back to the drawing office. The drawing team will then redraw these things and then we take it to site, we check until we finish everything and we produced new drawings. And then the refurbishment of this project was done based on those drawings. Okay. So that's a sound judgment. Cost versus safety. Sometimes you're doing an activity that is very expensive, but safety-wise is not actually safe, or something that is not expensive, but it's safe. So you need to look at these things that are very important. Time versus quality, and sometimes the client is pushing you to complete something, but because you are rushing, you don't produce a quality work. Okay. Constructability constraints. You need to understand if we are constructing this thing, these are the constraints. We don't have space, maybe, or it's issues of budget and so on and so on. Design changes, we spoke about this. If there's any design change, we get it approval, we redline the drawing, we revise the drawing, we revise the method statement, and we go back, we implement. Material substitution. Okay, sometimes we work on a project, the spec will tell you this is kind of material that you must use, or this is a kind, for example, it's a pipe work project. This is a kind of pipe with this material you must work. And the condition sometimes doesn't allow that, and we need to change that. We go back to the spec, we revise everything that has to do with that work that you are doing. Risk trade-offs. Okay, so this is where we're checking. These are the risks we're experiencing. If we do this, what are the next risks that we can experience? Okay, so these are very important things. Okay, the common gap, the candidate gives final decision, but not the reasoning process. Okay, always show your reasoning, show your competence in these things. It's very, very important. Okay, my next question. Where do you still feel uncertain or need support? I'm here for you. I'm doing these webinars to give you some clarity to help you guys. If you need support, you've got my number, you've got my LinkedIn profile. Shout so that we can see how we can actually help you to get your application form done properly. Okay, so outcome number 10, responsibility and accountability. This appears when the candidate owns a design package or a procurement package or a site work front inspection process, quality, commissioning, or corrective action. So you've got to show some sort of responsibility in this project. What was your responsibility? How did you carry out that responsibility? Okay, so these are the point of discussion you can pick up and discuss them. All right, common gap. Candidate says I assisted or we decided, which weakens the evidence of personal accountability. This is very important. When you write your report, write in first person singular. Show your own contribution. Okay, even though you are working with other people, don't just we did this. Okay, where is we? Where are you in the we? Okay, show you your own contribution, okay, in that particular project. And remember, when you do the outcomes, you're focusing on either D or E. Okay, you're contributing or you're performing the activities. When you assist, you are still at the junior level, under supervision. You're assisting a senior engineer to do a particular activities. Okay, so for the engineering report, you've got to show where you are demonstrating and performing that particular activities. Okay, we're almost done. Outcome 11. Okay, this appears when the candidate identifies a knowledge gap, or you attend technical trainings, learn new standards, receive mentorship from experienced people, or you mentor junior if you are well experienced, you apply new knowledge on site, and you reflect on your learnings. So these are the things that you can discuss on outcome 11. You might not discuss all of them, but you must show what are the lessons learned. And when the project closes, you hand it over. What have you learned from that project? And I remember my application form, I also indicated this area. What have I learned? Okay, and during the project you might be able to see, okay, I've got a gap on this area, so you go and take a training, or you attend a course, or you get a mentorship of some sort, so that you can develop in that area. Okay, so I hope in all these outcomes from the construction perspective, what I've been showing you, you have now get a bit of understanding on what, based on your experience, you can now begin to deconstruct your experience to say this part of my experience is covering this outcome, this part of my experience is covering, so it will give you a better way to understand. But the thing is, I know if you have spent at least 3 to 4 months on a particular project on site, you definitely have done all these things. So now you know what to talk about on this outcome. Okay. Right. So the common gap, the candidate lists future courses only. ECSA once completed learning, reflection, and application. So you need to show ECSA. So my question here is, what did you previously misunderstand that is now clear? So I'm hoping that from what I've been explaining from outcome one to this outcome, you get a better understanding of how you can actually apply your experience into addressing the EXA outcome without actually having a design experience. Okay, so case study, these are the people that are on my LinkedIn that I've assisted coming through my program. You can get all the testimonies about them. Okay, so quickly to share a story of this lady, Camila. So Camila came to the program. Okay, so yeah, Camila came to the program in 2022, and then when she got registered, she got a job in Australia. So she's been in Australia there, okay, and she was registered as a engineering technician from the civil discipline, and she got a job in Australia, and she's also registered there as a chartered accountant engineer. So you can actually Google here on not Google, actually you can find here on LinkedIn. So it's a story of the impact of how EXA can actually help you. All right. And then my last question, are you ready to move forward with the structured support to complete your application form? Okay, so I'm going to an end. So here I'm going to show you what we do, what are the packages we offer, the cost, and then obviously the surprise that I've promised you for those that have attended this webinar. All right. So we provide our program is called the Candidate Fast Track Coaching Program. It's a 16-week framework that helps candidates, engineers, technologists, and technicians complete their reports faster, align with expectation, and submit with confidence. All right. So based on where you are, this program increases your chances of success significantly. Okay, so let's go on. And this is, for candidate engineers, technologists, technicians, people with N6, what they call native technical diploma, people with GCC or lifting machinery inspectors, people that are stagnant in their career, they want to improve their career. So that covers that. Okay. Where are you still feeling stuck or unsure right now? All right. Drop me a message and say this is why I'm feeling stuck. But I'm hoping that with this webinar and what I've just explained, you're getting a better understanding. You are better clear than when you were when we started this webinar. All right. So this is exactly why I created the Candidate Fast Track Coaching Program to help you structure your report correctly, no guesswork, demonstrate competence with real evidence, get professional feedback before you submit your report, and prepare you for your EXA interview. Okay. So the outcome is to fast track your registration with clarity and with confidence. And when I mean fast track, to help you not to spend 6 months, 8 months, the whole year trying to write your report, at least the minimum 4 months through our program so that we can able to clarify and get you your report done properly. So here's our packages. So we've got the premium package. All right. This is what you're going to get. Full training program, one-on-one coaching, all our tools, our templates, our frameworks, our playbooks, access to EXA reference. Some of you don't have people that are EXA registered either in your network or within the company. So we will source those people. We will help you to try and find people that can actually evaluate, look at your report and advise you. And at the end, they can register, they can act as your referees. All right. Report reviews and interview preparation, ongoing support. Okay. So these are the prices in value. If I have to really charge you one by one of these things, it will cost you about 38,000. But we give you this price or this coaching at 12,997 excluding VAT. Okay. So when you add VAT, this is the price that you can get this program on. All right. So you're going to get access to our online platform. This is a short screen for mechanical, electrical, and civil. We've got others. I'm just showing this. We also get a module where we help you to prepare for the interview. When you are in our program, you get invited. You will get access to this module also. Okay. So these are the tools that you will receive from us, to show you when you do outcome 11, what are the documents, what are the key evidence documents. Remember, I've spoken about competency and evidence. Okay. You demonstrate competency the way you explain the work that you have done, and you show evidence by saying this is the document. Okay. For example, CPD certificates, how they support outcome 11, they show formal development. Training and attendance record, they show learning. Mentorship log, they show guided development, and so on and so on. So you'll get all these tools when you are part of this program. Okay. Does this sounds like something you need right now? I hope so. I hope so that what I've just explained, you will able to see where the gap is, and I'm inviting you to come into the program so that you're able to take your experience, align it with what we have shown you now. Okay. So also the bonuses, you'll get these frameworks, like I've made in examples. You'll also get the book. We've written this book across all the 9 engineering discipline with our process. So you'll get this book as part of the package. Now, the price for you that are in this webinar, okay, is no longer 14.9. Okay, this is the price including everything. Okay, unfortunately, this price is only valid until Monday on the 25th. Okay, so if this special goes away from the 25th, you are going to pay the original price, which is 12,997. You add VAT on it, so it becomes about 14.9K. All right, but this is the price that you say I'm ready to engage with you, or us to help you to work with us. We are going to give you this price once off payments, no payment plan. Please, guys, this is one off payment. This is what we offer for the value of the program that we have designed and developed to help you. All right. So if you're interested, take a screenshot of this QR code. You can pay through this QR code. Like I say, this is only available until to the 25th. I hope you see value. I hope you look at the price, you match the price with what I've already shown you, and you see value of how important is this price. Okay. So my coach used to say to me, don't look at the price of a shovel when you're digging for gold. Do you believe what I've just presented is a gold? Don't look at the price of a shovel. Okay, just buy the shovel so that we're able to take the shovel and go and dig for gold. Right. So I hope this makes sense. However, I just want to make one commitment. All right, because my goal is to get you into the program. My goal is to help you to make sure that we guide you properly. So I'm gonna make a last offer. Okay, this offer is for those that are saying, I've seen this webinar, I like this, I want to be part of this program. Okay, if you are able to do that, okay, here's my question. Are you open to working together with me to strengthen your submission and avoid the delays? Okay, if you're really serious about this, okay, before the 25th of May, okay, if you are able to say, look, I'm ready, I've got the resource, I've got the funds, I want to be in this program. For you guys that are say, I'm ready, I'm not going to wait for the month end, I'm going to allow you, to have this coaching program with everything that I've explained at this exclusive opportunity. You pay 9,997, VAT included. That's all that you pay, and you'll get everything that I've explained, all the tools, access to our referees, access to online program, everything, the package. So you'll get this package at this price. But this is only valid up until Sunday evening, the 24th. Okay, because Monday is the 25th. On Monday, the price is going to stay up on 12,646 and 55 cents. But this is the price of people say, as of today, which is Friday, Saturday, Sunday, if you've got the means, take this special, because this is my only last special that I'm offering. Okay, you snooze, you lose, you know that. Okay, right, here's our guarantee to you. If you do the work and you don't get ECSA registered within 12 months, I will coach you for free until you do, or I will refund you your full investment. Okay, That is my commitment to you. All right, but only if you do the work. So in our online platform, we've got a dashboard. We can see all the candidates, we can see all the people that are in a program. We can see how many hours they've spent, how much percentage of the work they have done, and so on and so on. And obviously, by receiving back your application, you can to say, this is what I've written for us to review. Okay, so we are saying the risk is not on you, the risk is on us. Okay. So the cost of doing procrastination, you're gonna get career stagnation, missed employment opportunities, or missed earning potentials. Okay, nothing is more expensive than a missed opportunity. Think about those people that are flying from maybe OR Tambo to overseas. If you miss your plane by 1 or 2 minutes, you're gonna buy another ticket that is very expensive. So that's what I'm saying to you. Here's an opportunity that I'm showing you, and then I'm saying, if you're really interested, you see this as value, you really do want to work with us, take hold of these opportunities. Okay, so here's my challenge to you. All right, are you going to do this on your own, keep guessing, getting frustrated, being overwhelmed, probably being stagnant, and give up, you don't do this thing? Or are you coming, join us in our coaching program, and we're going to use the tried and tested system, and you have seen the results that we have achieved. Okay, so there is leverage that comes from learning from people who have the ability, the skills, and the capacity to produce the results you want. I know that you want to be ECSA registered. I've got the ability, I've demonstrated that. I've got the skill, I've shown that. I've got the capacity, we've got the program, we've got the tools, we've got the system, we've got support to help you to achieve your ECSA registration. All right. So again, I'm reiterating, this is what you're gonna get: the templates, access, all these things at this price. But remember, this price is only valid until Sunday night. Okay, on Monday the 25th, you're going to pay, the price is gonna go up. Okay, so thank you so much for attending this webinar. Like I say, it's a pre-recorded. Unfortunately, the one that I did yesterday, which was the 21st of May, I couldn't locate the recording. I don't know what happened, but this is the pre-recording so that I can share with you what we have discussed on this outcome number, this 11 outcome from the construction perspective. Here are my details. I encourage you to connect with me on LinkedIn. I encourage you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are sharing a lot of content. And if you need a consultation, you need some clarity after you've watched this webinar, that's my the calendar link. We also written a book. It comes with a workbook, Beyond the Degree, to encourage people, especially I see a lot of people graduating, they don't find jobs. What can you do beyond your degree? This is the book is all about. The workbook will help you to start mapping out your strategy so that you are able to create income out of your knowledge, out of your experience, out of your skills. And so you can get the book on my website, www.godfreymongwe.co.za. So if you've got question, here's my email address. Send me an email. Please don't send me WhatsApps. Send me an email. Then we'll be able to respond to you. Again, here's the price. Take the screenshot of this, and then I will see you in the coaching program. Thank you so much. We'll see you in the coaching program. Cheers.